Welcome to the Green Nurse Podcast, where we bring hope and inspiration for growth and healing. We're here to change the dialogue and stigma around what it means to feel good and be high. Hence the H for hope, I for inspiration, G for growth, and H for healing. Everyone deserves to feel good. We all deserve to feel good. And we have an amazing show for you today. But before we get started, we're going to give you a little video about what we do in this space in the cannabis arena as nurses, right? All right. And then we'll get going. Partners in health.
Got we are partners.
Yeah. Change the paradigm of healthcare.
The Green Nurse is a holistic cannabis nurse that teaches on the endocannabinoid system and the safe utilization of cannabis and other progressive tools to help people reach a better quality of life.
I'm the founder of Holistic Caring. We're based here in California, and we do educational programs and case management for patients on how to use cannabis therapeutically as a medicine.
We're also here to decrease stigma around what it means to feel good and be high, hence the H for hope, I for inspiration, G for growth, and H for healing.
As the founder of Holistic Caring, I basically oversee the whole ship. And what we're doing is progressive education.
Cannabis actually supports all 11 organ systems, our immune system, and all the neurotransmitter signaling systems that give messages to tell our body to either do something or not do something. Because the plant was prohibited, it prevented health professionals, doctors and nurses from learning about cannabis as medicine.
I want to change the paradigm of healthcare and us paving the way into a new vanguard of medicine.
It's about education, it's about empowerment, it's about teaching people how to feel good, bridging the gap from what they're not getting from traditional medicine, utilizing different plant medicines, adaptogens, tips, tricks, hugs, and nugs of information to support and nourish the most important system in our body.
It's a lot of soul work, a lot of love, a lot of discipline, and meditation. I'm using my life work as a testimony to others to learn how they can be their own hero and then go help heal the world.
And we are, as nurses, the game changers. There you go. Growing in health, growing in cannabis. So the Green Nurse Podcast Clinical Conversations webcast came about when Nurse Elizabeth and I merged our companies Holistic Caring and the Green Nurse alongside of Bloom Hemp, creating Holistic Caring Network. Clinical Conversations explores all aspects of how to use and optimize cannabis as medicine. People are making great medicines. People are selling these amazing formulations, yet no one is truly interpreting how to use cannabis as medicine. That is what we do. And today's show is going to be amazing. But before we get started on our presentation, we have a special message from our sponsor at Bloom Hemp.
So Bloom Hemp is a woman and nurse-owned national hemp CBD supplier, leading with quality, safety, value, and patient-centered care. Bloom Hemp products are USDA organic CBD that are grown in the mountains of Colorado and super tested for potency, purity, cannabinoid and terpene profiles. And Bloom Hemp is also proud to offer a free nurse line. So you can call 970-404-HOPE. 4673 and you'll get your answers, your questions answered so that you can explore how to add CBD to your life for this game-changing option.
There you go. Bloom Hemp for the win. And we're going to get started on our presentation. In our December newsletter, we delved into the topic of safe consumption. And so today we're going to explore and compare alcohol and cannabis and discuss why you may want to contemplate replacing alcohol with cannabis. We'll address the risks associated with cross-fading, which means combining both alcohol and cannabis, and provide guidance on safe consumption for those who are experimenting. Additionally, we have a special prize for you all. We have a delightful edible recipe to share. Learn how to create Bloom butter and Christmas cookies and Christmas bread using CBD, CBG, and CBN isolates. So at the end of the show, the recipe that we've created, I've created this nice little, I call it a little hug and a nug of love for the holidays, will be in our network, in our free network. So you'll join us in the free network to get your free PDF on how to make Bloom butter, cookies, and bread for the holidays using Bloom CBD, CBG, and CBN. All right. So we ready to get started?
We are.
All right. Here we go.
Right. Well, happy holidays, everybody. It is December 13th, 2023. We are 12 days away from Christmas, and I am excited. We have a party to go to this Saturday night, and we're going to start educating now so that we can keep going and keep educating and keep everybody safe as we celebrate the holidays. So no one wants to be health coached during the holidays. Who wants to be told what to do, right? But the holidays are filled and fueled with alcohol. Did you know that there was 95,000 deaths in America every year that are caused by alcohol? And as you can see, our most dangerous holidays, New Year's Day, Independence Day, Thanksgiving, Labor Day, and Memorial Day, along with the Super Bowl, all very high alcohol consumption days. And you know, when we're looking at alcohol, we can have side effects from that. You can have consumption issues. And one, it can be intoxicating, which is very dose dependent. So large doses, which can be even just more than one drink for some people, can cause unpleasant behavior changes, risky behaviors, chronic inflammation. Now we're studying talk about the body, stress on the liver, altered blood sugars, electrolyte disturbances, and of course, dehydration. Alcohol is a diuretic and can lead to headaches, electrolyte imbalances, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, and cognitive deficits, which make it all that more difficult to make healthy choices and decisions. So what about the endocannabinoid system? How does that play in?
Yeah. Merry Christmas. And then we have the 2023 most 5 dangerous holidays.
I already said them.
We did. We talked about that. So this is really, really important. So what happens to the endocannabinoid system when we drink? Well, guess what? We've got some slides for you to show you, right? Right. So what happens? Well, acute alcohol consumption leads the body to start producing CB1 receptors in the brain, actually looking for our own anandamide and 2-AG molecule that we make as a protective mechanism to shield the brain from the toxic effects of alcohol. So and this is an example that we talk about in a lot of our slide presentations. Oftentimes when we see sick patients, sick cells have expressed receptors. So if you have Crohn's disease, you know, your gastrointestinal system or different areas of your body have an overabundance of these receptors actually looking for our own internal endogenous cannabinoids that we make to correct cell signaling. So acutely, what happens is that we start producing more CB1 receptors in our brain, actually looking for those molecules to keep our body protected and dial down neuroinflammation, right? Because acute alcohol actually disrupts GABA and glutamate in our brain. Chronic alcohol dependence is linked to a downregulation in 2-AG and CB1 brain receptors. So long-term alcohol abuse depletes the endocannabinoid tone, and this can have an adverse impact on all of our organ systems and physiological processes that are modulated by the endocannabinoid system. Anything else you want to add to this?
No, but you can do a lot of damage to the ECS, and you just really need to be careful.
Yep. And then here we go.
Yeah. So, and chronic alcohol consumption. My first job was at the VA in Chicago, and I saw a lot of this, of despondent drinking. And chronic alcohol consumption is not good. It leads to a host of long-term health issues: cardiomyopathy, which is heart disease; muscle myopathy, muscle disease; gastritis, inflammation in the stomach; alcoholic liver disease; polyneuropathy, peripheral nerve disease; alcohol-induced pancreatitis, very common. For women that are drinking, fetal alcohol syndromes, women that are alcoholics who have babies have brain damage in the babies. Brains of those who overconsume also shrink over time, back to just regular people. You can experience short-term memory loss and Wernicke-Korsakoff syndrome, commonly referred to as wet brain. It is when a person has a lack of thiamine, vitamin B, in the brain. And encephalopathy causes, lack of difficulty with vision, confusion, coordination, and hepatic encephalopathy is when the liver is unable to filter out toxins and they travel to the brain, causing lots more confusion, slurred speech, and drowsiness. And it can also cause psychosis in late stages, hallucinations, memory problems, and difficulty learning. So
What a buzzkill.
you don't want chronic alcohol consumption.
No, we do not want that. We can make better choices. So what about replacing alcohol with cannabis? Here we got this nice little Santa here with his elf, consuming here. And so cannabis is a tool that can help minimize alcohol. Researchers have found that binge drinking is reduced on days when drinkers smoke cannabis. And this is without the actual intent to quit. Cannabis is less harmful with less side effects. Cannabis can be used as medicine, can be used as a wellness tool for recreation and to enhance fun. Alcohol is not used as medicine. There is not a medicinal alcohol program or a wellness tool to enhance health. And so making the switch from alcohol to cannabis can be an effective harm reduction strategy. And the most important reminder we want to remind folks of is that when you are experimenting with these things, do not drive any vehicle. Do not operate machinery. So don't drive and when experimenting with THC. All right, similarities.
So, yeah, there are some similarities. So both are psychoactive substances. They are associated with socialization, relaxation, and altered thinking. Psychoactive often means altered perceptions, feelings, coordination, inhibitions, your mind, your memory, your motor functions, etc. So, of course, don't operate machinery when you are under the influence of anything. Both substances can act as a depressant or a stimulant and are very dose dependent. Alcohol is generally considered a depressant. Stimulation is more emotional and mood related in the early phases of drinking. Alcohol is a depressant to all organ systems and affects the central nervous system by changing your neurons and how they communicate. Alcohol suppresses the excitatory neurotransmitter glutamate and increases the inhibitory neurotransmitter GABA, which is why you might feel more relaxed. Both can result in dependency issues, but alcohol is far worse than cannabis. Both are associated with traffic fatalities, but again, alcohol is far worse than cannabis. And most of the time, the cannabis consumers who crashed their vehicles almost always had other substances on board, including alcohol. So it's very rare to see somebody just with cannabis crashing cars, but it could happen.
Yep, absolutely. Legal risk reduction here. Okay, alcohol and cannabis differences. So we have a little graphic here over to the right, two little graphics, but a drink or two a day, research has confirmed and substantiated associated with an increased risk of death from all causes. So if you are drinking two drinks a day, you're increasing your risk of death among all causes. And so that's a lot. So 1 to 2 drinks a day affects our cardiovascular health in so many different ways, increasing the risk of heart attack, heart failure, and stroke. And we already talked about the long-term effects of chronic alcohol use. Alcohol is strongly associated with violence, including domestic violence. Cannabis is much likely to be associated with doing harm to others. Heavy use of alcohol causes damage to the brain, mouth, esophagus, throat, stomach, pancreas, liver, kidneys, gallbladder, nervous system, joints, blood vessels, and skin. Alcohol is toxic to all of our 11 organ systems, our immune system, and all the neurotransmitter signaling systems. Cannabis, when used as medicine, corrects cell signaling for root cause healing to all systems. So, and being drunk is a symptom of alcohol poisoning. However, being high isn't a symptom of cannabis poisoning, right? So you have to look at the difference here. Being high it's a side effect. Euphoria is feeling good. You can overconsume, and that's called greening out, taking too much. And we'll talk about that in an upcoming slide. But basically, cannabis, when used as medicine, corrects cell signaling for root cause healing to all systems. And even recreational use of cannabis is much safer than adult use alcohol consumption. So greening out, you can take too much cannabis, causing the dysphoria, the anxiety, the paranoia, nausea, vomiting, feeling really uncomfortable. Your heart rate can be incredibly elevated. We have a whole slide on that we're going to talk about, but you're not going to die, right? There are 0 reports of fatal overdose of cannabis. There's no receptors in the brainstem to stop breathing or your heartbeat, right? And so alcohol, is legal. Well, cannabis is slowly but surely becoming legal.
75% of America has legal access for medicine.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So the differences here are you're comparing not even apples and oranges. You're comparing, fruits and vegetables, you're really truly comparing what's organic and what's not organic in health. Okay, so the next slide.
Okay, so the pros of switching to cannabis from alcohol, or at least replacing some drinks, right? Health benefits. Eliminating alcohol leads to improvement in heart health, blood pressure, weight and liver conditions, kidney and pancreatic function. There's fewer calories, right? We're all watching our weight. Edibles and smoking or inhaling or vaping have fewer calories than booze does. Removing alcohol from the diet can represent hundreds of calories a day, enabling the weight loss you want. Interpersonal and social benefits. People have less anger, less frustration, less fighting, and a reduced risk of violence. People don't have a couple of puffs and get anxious or get aggressive, where they might have a couple of drinks and get aggressive. So you don't see that. And really important, it's an alternative to abstinence-only sobriety. This is huge because some people's sobriety depends upon abstinence in all intoxicants and they don't have anything. But others find that quitting alcohol comes much easier with some cannabis on board to help relax. When it comes to fighting addiction, the right answer is the one that works best for the individual, and that's why we need to case manage each one. Sobriety is a way of life unique to each individual. When it comes to costs, cannabis it can be expensive, but so can alcohol. Cost depends on what you buy and how often. And with cannabis, you can grow at home, right, where it's legal, but it can make it really cost effective. And then you can make medicines that you're going to use at home as well. You can get an improved emotional state. Cannabis earned its reputation for enhancing feelings of well-being and promoting relaxation. Alcohol is associated with a more depressed mood and anger. And then a gentler morning after, right? Well, heavy cannabis use can leave us a little bleary in the morning. Nothing compares to the whopper of an alcohol hangover, and you don't want to do this. So I love this picture of the green nurse sitting there in those cannabis fields. Safety, cannabis is just safer all around. And overall, you're less likely to die before your time, which is a really interesting phrase.
Okay, what about mixing? Not a good idea. Not a good idea at all. Is it safe to mix weed and alcohol? No, it is not. It is not safe. So crossfading is a term that is used when alcohol and cannabis are combined, causing a user to get drunk and high at the same time. This can be very, very dangerous. You know, as humans, we generally are dehydrated by nature, but both of these substances are dehydrating to the body. So when you consume alcohol, ethanol can raise the levels of THC in the body, and THC can inhibit the breakdown of alcohol. So in 2015, clinical trial found that test subjects had significantly higher blood THC levels when they used cannabis along with alcohol, and combining the two led to increased impairment. In that same study, the researchers found that the amount of alcohol increased. So as they continued to drink, so did the THC levels in the blood plasma level. So these findings also mirror a 2001 trial in which the subjects who consumed cannabis reported more euphoria and they had higher levels of THC in their blood, right? It can be very, very dangerous.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, so continuing that on the crossfading. So combining both could be a recipe for disaster. 2016 study used data from 2005 and 2010, the National Alcohol Survey, and found that simultaneous use doubled the odds of drunk driving, social consequences, and self-harm. Arguments were more prevalent with drinking. Violence was more prevalent with drinking. Car accidents were more prevalent with drinking. Combining both, does the type of alcohol or cannabis matter? Well, not all cannabis and alcohol is the same. 2021 study of 274 college students who combined cannabis and alcohol found that using both together produced more negative consequences than just alcohol or just cannabis. The researchers also found that combining just beer with cannabis and flour or concentrate was significantly less likely to produce negative consequences, including the hangover, nausea, or vomiting, and less incidences of bad things happening. Injured yourself, drove the car high, had a blackout, rude or aggressive or unwanted sex. Using multiple types of cannabis products with one type of alcohol was less dangerous than using multiple types of alcohol and adding in cannabis products. So the most consistent finding was using more alcohol products correlated with more negative consequences than cannabis products. And as I wrote in my newsletter, right, you can have one beer and a puff or two, and you'll be okay. And a lot of college students are doing that, but you don't want to throw in the shots. You don't want to throw in the gummies. You don't want to do all of these other things, right? Just have a little bit and enjoy it.
Okay, drink or smoke first, doesn't matter. So we've all heard the phrases, liquor before beer, everything is clear, but beer before liquor, never been sicker. Although there's a phrase that's out there in the community that says, weed than beer, you're in the clear. Beer than grass, you're on your ass. But I truly don't like mixing any of it. So I'm just being honest. So does the order in which you consume cannabis and alcohol make a difference? Well, in 2021, a study, and I'm going to say the answer is yes. In 2021, a study found that when cannabis was used first, there was a tendency to consume less alcohol and more cannabis. I look at that as more health benefits, right? And the researchers stated that using cannabis first within the same day use was associated with lower daily alcohol consumption, but greater daily cannabis consumption. Okay, that makes sense, right? And the researchers suggested that the use of these substances in a particular order was not linked to consequences, but the number of drinks consumed was a predictor of experiencing the negative side effects of drinking. Once again, the studies, concluded that the most consistent finding was using more alcohol products correlated with more negative consequences than cannabis products. Anything to add?
Okay, so alcohol dependence, withdrawal, and intoxication. This is the research dashboard from Cannabis, our research partner who we love. They have studies where they're showing that this is being studied, and the cannabinoid-based therapeutics have emerged as potential strategies in treating alcohol addiction. Cannabinoids, whether they're endo, phyto, or synthetic, interact with the body's endocannabinoid system, playing a role in various functions, including mood regulation, reward processing, and stress response, all critical factors in the underlying pathology of alcohol addiction. Acute alcohol use reduces circulating endocannabinoids levels, anandamide, but not 2-AG, in humans. And then antagonism at CB1 reduced alcohol consumption in test animals. Cannabis and the modulators of the endocannabinoid system signaling have therapeutic potential in the treatment of several alcohol-related comorbidities, such as alcoholic liver disease, steatosis, hepatitis, cirrhosis, and liver cancer. And we do know that with CBD, you can help people with the alcohol withdrawals and reduced cravings. And CBD is a partial antagonist at CB1, so maybe that's why.
Merry Christmas. All right, and we're going to get into another Cannabis slide. So alcohol liver disease research dashboard. So cannabinoid-based therapeutics in the treatment of alcoholic liver disease is limited to preclinical data. However, the data is relevant. So in 2018 comes from a cohort study where patients with a history of past, current abuse of alcohol and current of alcohol abuse, where cannabis was associated with a reduction in the rates of alcohol steatosis, hepatitis, cirrhosis, and liver cancer. A review conducted by European researchers in 2019 looked at the complex immunomodulatory aspects, antioxidant, anti-anxiety, and anti-epileptic properties of CBD in the context of alcoholic liver disease. And they found that CBD reduced not just overall alcohol consumption, but also reduced the associated anxiety, relapse, motivation for alcohol, and impulsivity in test animals. So CBD for the win. CBD was able to reduce fat buildup in the liver, modulated inflammation, and reduced oxidative stress. All factors that are part of the underlying pathology for alcohol-related steatosis and fibrosis in the liver. So a position paper by the Canadian Association of Gastroenterology states that cannabinoid treatment in the context of alcoholic liver disease may have a protective effect. Good news.
Yeah.
All right. Well, be safe.
So be safe. Do not mix alcohol and cannabis.
That's the bottom line.
Know your limits. Know what you're consuming. Stay hydrated with water. Have a designated driver. Don't overdo it. Less is more with cannabis. And don't consume with people you don't know. That could be trouble. Pace yourself and know when to call it a night. It doesn't have to last till 3 a.m. You can go home at midnight or 11 p.m. and have a good morning. And I love this one. The designated driver is the life of the party.
Yeah, that's me. And
So-
guess what? Good news.
Oh, yeah, CBD is great for hangovers, right? CBD, THCV, some of the other ones. CBD works on over 70 targets in the body, helping to give you that warm blanket that nourishes all your cells and helps you feel back in balance.
Yeah. So here we go. So what is CBD? Well, CBD is a cannabinoid that interacts with the endocannabinoid system. So CBD can be found in the cannabis plant. It can be found in the hemp plant. And when we're looking at CBD from the hemp plant, you know that we see products that are CBD isolate, which is the isolated single molecule, broad spectrum CBD, whole plant with 0 THC, and full spectrum whole plant with the trace amount of THC. So 20 years ago, the government took out a patent, 6630507, where cannabinoids are found to protect cells from damage and decay following ischemic insults such as stroke and trauma. Cannabinoids may hold a therapeutic potential to treat neurodegenerative diseases such as Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, and dementia. I want you to think about that. What are we treating here? Neuroinflammation. What does alcohol cause? Neuroinflammation, right? So this all relates. CBD for hangovers.
So hangovers can happen, right? We all know that even just a few drinks can really get you in trouble the next morning. So people are traveling, they have family visitors, there's holiday parties. People tend to drink more, so you need to stock up on the CBD and the cannabinoids. So there's an emotional wellness bundle at Bloom Hemp that sort of mitigates some of these side effects. The Bloom Hemp Essential Digestive Tincture is full spectrum CBD enriched with CBG, fennel, cumin, and coriander, supporting the ECS and the microbiome. This is great for gut health and helps nausea in the morning. The Essential Calming Tincture is the full spectrum CBD infused with CBN, lemon balm, lavender, hops, and California poppy, aimed to alleviate anxiety, foster sound sleep, and nourish the ECS. If you don't feel well, a couple of drops of this help you feel more stable. CBD Energize Gummies for the morning, blend of CBD, vitamins B9 and B12, which bathe the central nervous system and heal that, along with 25 milligrams of caffeine to give you about a quarter cup of coffee and an energized boost in the morning. The CBD Sleep Gummies help you get to sleep. CBD, L-theanine, passion flower, and 3 milligrams of melatonin to reset the sleep-wake cycle, and that combines with the relaxation response for restorative sleep. So take this about half to an hour before bed. And then full spectrum CBD capsules are the mainstay of this. 25 milligrams full spectrum CBD as a supplement to nourish and support your ECS and EC-BOM all day long. It has the longer duration, and this is really it works on all of these other targets. And CBD dosing is cumulative, and that really is, when we talk about CBD for the win, this is on a consistent basis. You just feel good, and you're not going to need as much of the alcohol or the other things, or even as much THC when you just feel balanced and well. And this package will do it.
Yep. Well, when you think about what happens when you consume too much alcohol, all of your systems are negatively impacted, right? Your digestive system, your microbiome,
This heals
your you've got inflammation in your body. You might have anxiety. You're depleted of nutrients, and so this package can really be helpful. So talk about THC and mental health. Dosing matters. So when people are new to using cannabis, this is all about safe consumption, right?
Like, so if you go to a holiday party and somebody offers you THC,
you got to be really careful, right? We want people to have a good time. We want people to enjoy themselves, but we also need to understand the importance and nuancing of THC and how we need to find the sweet spot, specifically if people have issues with mental health disorders, because too much THC can make things worse. Too much THC can cause a downregulation in our own cannabinoid receptors, right? The endocannabinoid system is the largest neuroregulatory system in our body, regulating all 11 organ systems, our immune system, and all of the other neurotransmitters. So when you're taking too much THC, what happens is your body goes, ooh, I'm good. Thank you for that. But now I'm not going to produce enough of my own anandamide. I'm going to take that, put it on the back seat, and use my energy to do something else. You continue to take too much THC, what happens is your receptors hide. They're like, that's too much. I don't need as much anymore. Well, guess what? I'm going to hide my receptors. And then what happens? People start to consume more and more, trying to get the same effect. So too much THC can temporarily slow down your body's own production of anandamide, the molecule that we make that mimics THC. And we need that molecule to activate our CB1 and CB2 receptors. Too much THC can impair the stress response. This changes the impulsivity and reward sensitivity. Too much THC changes dopamine signaling, and overproduction can cause issues with addiction over time. And finally, too much THC can lead to adverse effects, such as cannabis use disorder, or in rare cases, cannabis hyperemesis syndrome. But THC is a very, very powerful molecule and can be used appropriately, can be used for medicine and for enjoyment, right?
Yeah, but that high dose can increase the anxiety. Right?
Well,
so if somebody's prone to anxiety and you get, a 20 milligram edible, you're going to be in trouble. You want to take a 2 milligram edible.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
So where we go.
So greening out, right? So if you do take that 20 milligram edible, you might feel for the first time ever that you could have a green out, right? So the symptoms of overconsumption of THC, and this is always THC, the CBD, CBG, CBN never is going to happen. They're not psychoactive like this. So the first thing, you don't feel well. You could have an elevated heart rate, which we call tachycardia. You feel like your heart's going to pound out of your chest. You could get dizziness and lightheadedness, temperature changes, sweats and chills, and they can alternate, anxiety and paranoia. The paranoia usually is about, I don't feel well, something's wrong, which can cause more anxiety. So you need to breathe. Nausea, vomiting in rare cases, and then even psychosis, some really disordered thinking. And the way to manage it is do not panic. You will not die. You need to do some deep breathing, but nice, slow breathing, and really focus on that exhale, which we're going to talk about in a minute. You can take a high dose of CBD, so 40 to 100 milligrams or a little more, to help soften the effects of that THC psychoactivity. You can drink or eat something in case your blood sugar has dropped, which a lot of THC could cause. So have some water, have a little ginger snap or something to just get your blood sugar up. Sip some water-soluble CBD. One of those CBD drinks could be helpful, and then just really hydrate with some cold water. Sucking on lemons and chewing peppercorns can also sort of back out THC from those receptors. You might want to take a lukewarm bath or a shower. That can also reset TRP receptors. And then go outside and get some fresh air and just look at the stars and realize that you're okay. Watch the nature. And then vagus nerve stimulation exercise, which we'll get to in a minute. And then lie down and phone a cannabis nurse, call the nurse line. And the goal is to get back into the relaxation response. So allow some deep breathing and time to pass, and you will be just fine, right? So just know that as soon as the THC works its way out of your system, and these things will help, then you're going to be back to balance, and then you know what to do next time.
Yeah. And personally, I've had a green out when I was new with cannabis, and we're going to talk about that with cooking.
Yeah.
If you're new to cannabis and you're going to be making things in the kitchen, do not lick the spoon.
Yeah.
Do not lick the spoon.
And if somebody offers you a joint or a vape, have one puff, set it down, wait 5 minutes, have a second puff, set it down, wait 5 minutes, and see if you really need any more. Don't just keep hitting it.
Yeah, get into trouble. So stimulating the vagus nerve, this is really important because the endocannabinoid system signals both the fight or flight response and the relaxation response. And so this is a tool that we all should have in our toolbox. Besides having CBD in our toolbox, this is something that we can all do. So the vagus nerve, I want to explain to you the polyvagal theory. The vagus nerve is the 10th cranial nerve residing in the parasympathetic branch of the autonomic nervous system. It's the central apparatus of the body's relaxation response. The vagus nerve originates in the brainstem and travels through the face, the neck, the lungs, the heart, the diaphragm, the abdomen, the stomach, the spleen, intestines, colon, liver, and kidneys. And so vagus nerve stimulation may benefit inflammatory related disorders. So people that have chronic inflammation, you can be doing this and this will help. This is also going to help if you overconsume too much THC. This may serve as a supplemental therapy for treatment-resistant cases of depression, PTSD, inflammatory bowel disease, and treatment-resistant epilepsy. Maintaining vagus nerve health supports the relaxation response. The endocannabinoid system and the endocannabinoid dome, doing these nourishing activities that we're going to talk about on the next slide, can strengthen vagal tone. Utilizing the activities to stimulate your vagus nerve promotes the relaxation response without cannabis. So why is this important, right? So vagus nerve care supports the endocannabinoid dome, which includes the endocannabinoid system, the microbiome, and the lipid dome. And we can take control of our vagus nerve health by doing these specific exercises.
Yeah, and why might you want to do this, right? We've already talked about the health benefits, but we're really returning to the toolbox, right? We always want people to have a toolbox, and so this needs to be in there because we're all stressed, and really stress management. People drink to get to sleep. People smoke cannabis to get to sleep. You can do vagal nerve exercises to get to sleep, and that's what we're as nurses trying to promote. So, what are these exercises like? Breath work, slow, deep, diaphragmatic breathing that emphasizes prolonged exhalation. So inhale for a count of 4, exhale for a count of 8, really focusing on that exhale. Singing, chanting, humming, or playing a wind instrument, vibrating right here in the throat and getting that vagal nerve toned. Massaging areas of the body innervated by the vagus, alternating vagal tone and promoting the relaxation response. Gentle massage of the muscles of your face, front of the head, the neck, the rib cage, the abdomen, and positioning the body to compress and decompress vagus nerve also helps, including yoga poses, right? So, but gentle rocking, some roll downs with your back, neck stretches, going from side to side, abdominal and torso rotations, just really, which helps your spine and your mobility as well, but it helps the vagal tone. Yoga poses, gently flexing and stretching, stimulate the vagus nerve. And yoga also includes mindfulness, movement, meditation, and breath work, and really getting that mind body in one piece. Chewing food slowly, sucking on food, gargling, gently rubbing inside your ear on the bowl-shaped bits, not the ear canal. And then positive social interactions, loving connections, and feeling safe, stimulating oxytocin as well. And in YouTube, there are plenty of vagus nerve exercises. So you can go to YouTube and find out a little bit more.
There we go. So safety and dosing. Cannabis is medicine, whether you're using it recreationally or as medicine. It has a physiological response in your body to correct cell signaling. So if you're going to be using cannabis to have fun, you should know the medicinal benefits so you can make better choices. So whether you're using cannabis for the first time recreationally or using it as medicine, we always want to take the lowest dose to get the most therapeutic response, the response where you're going to feel good, right? It's the Goldilocks dosing or the sweet spot, and that's different for everyone. But I'm going to tell you, it's the lowest dose to get the most therapeutic response below the threshold of being impaired or uncomfortable, right? And that's both for adult use and for as medicine, right? So we want to start low and go slow. We call it microdosing to mimic endocannabinoid system signaling, right? So we microdose. We don't have a pot of coffee. We have a cup of coffee. We don't have a whole pizza. We have a piece of pizza. We have a piece of chocolate cake. We don't have the whole cake. Same thing. You don't eat the whole pan of brownies or all of the cookies. You have one. And we need to mimic the endocannabinoid system signaling for safety. So dosing is generally as medicine, breakfast, lunch, dinner, and bedtime. If you're new to exploring adult use, explore it at home on a Saturday afternoon when you're not going anywhere. You always want to have CBD on board, always have CBD around, because CBD can help dial down psychoactivity if you get into trouble using too much THC. THC-rich formulations mostly for the evening, 1-to-1 ratios for the daytime as needed. These are for patients that are using it as pain. And when we're teaching how to use cannabis as medicine, we teach people how to keep the cost low and their tolerance low by stacking multiple different types of products, using topicals, tinctures, capsules, or gummy, and maybe folding in inhalation as needed. Safety with other pharmaceuticals is of the utmost importance. A lot of pharmaceuticals that we take get excreted through our liver, through the cytochrome P450 system. So any drugs that interact with grapefruit, what we recommend is that people take their pharmaceutical first, wait an hour or two, depending upon if you're a slow or fast metabolizer, and then take your cannabis product. We want pharmaceuticals to do their job. And then we want to journal, track our results, and talk to your provider. And when we're providers, right? And so journaling is really, really important, even when you're new to using cannabis recreationally, because the last thing you want to do is try something, have a bad effect, forget that you had the bad effect, and go back and purchase it again. So journaling is really, really important. We want you all to stay safe. And that's why we have our handy dandy nurse line for you to call.
970-404-HOPE.
Yeah.
So shopping for that safe CBD, that's Green Nurse approved. Basically we want cannabis and CBD from the flowering strains of hemp, right? We don't want stalks, stems, and seeds. We want where the phytocannabinoids and the terpenes all reside in the flowers. It can be isolate, broad spectrum, or full spectrum. Any of them can help adjust the endocannabinoid system. And when we were talking about breakfast, lunch, dinner, bedtime, PRN, we're really talking about people that have depleted endocannabinoid systems with CBD, just dripping it in so that we're always giving the body something to work with. We have USDA organic and good manufacturing practices as able. As this business evolves, we're going to look for more standardization and always being able to get, if something works, you want to be able to go back and find it again. You don't want to say, oh, we don't have that. And so doing business with good companies is important. All products need to be lab tested for potency, purity, and contaminants and solvents. And then we need accurate labels because the potency and the serving size all vary. So in one dropper, which is 1 milliliter, normally the bottles are 30 milliliters. So you take one dropper and it could be either 10 milligrams or 100 milligrams, depending if that's 300 milligrams in the bottle or 3,000 milligrams in the bottle. And that varies quite a bit, which is why you need to know what you're doing. And as far as the company, make sure they're doing transparent business. They have a website, address, email, customer service, and a phone line. And if you need help exploring companies, call the free nurse line, 970-404-HOPE.
There we go. Very good.
Okay, the fun stuff.
This is the fun stuff. So this is cooking and how to make butter using CBD, CBG, CBN isolates from Bloom Hemp. This is going to be in our network. So our free network, network.holisticcaring.com, or if you go to holisticcaring.com, there's a join the network there. You join the network, our pharmacist will let you in, and we're going to have this beautiful PDF holiday recipe for you. So we're going to talk about what it means to make Bloom butter, right? So when you make a pound of butter, you can make it with 1 gram of isolate, you can make it with 2 grams of isolate, or you can make it with 3 grams of isolate. So basically what you want to do is you want to melt the butter on low heat, do not boil it. You add in your 1, 2, or 3 grams of isolate. You stir on very, very low heat for about 15 to 20 minutes until it's fully emulsified. You don't want to boil it. You can pour it into Tupperware. Some people have the molds that are actually the butter molds. You can pour those into the butter molds and have your sticks of butter already lined up, or you can just put it in Tupperware and you can measure it out. Dosing calculations depend upon how much isolate you put in the butter. And so we're going to talk about that in this slide here. So this is a dosing estimate. So let's just do the math here. So if we're going to do 1 gram of butter in 1 pound, 1 gram in 1 pound of butter, it's going to give us 2 cups of butter. So when we break down the math, a gram of isolate is 1,000 milligrams. So a 1/4 pound of butter. So if you take 1,000 divided by 4, right, is 250 milligrams.
Yeah, so 1 stick.
So 1 stick of butter. If you put 1,000 milligrams in a pound of butter, 1 stick of butter is 1/4 pound, would be 250 milligrams. A 1/2 pound of butter is equivalent to 1 cup, would be 500 milligrams. Okay. And so then this particular recipe here actually calls for 1 cup of softened Bloom butter. So how do we cook with this? So we basically follow the recipe. So you make your butter, right? You have your 1 cup of Bloom butter, which is 500 milligrams of CBD, the flour, the baking soda, the baking powder, the white sugar, the egg, the vanilla extract. You're going to make your cookies. And then if you want to switch up the cookies and you want to do it a little different, if you want to change up the flour, you can use cake flour, bread flour, less flour, and it kind of gives you alterations to your cookies. But this is the basic cookie recipe. And then we've given you alterations to how to make it.
We didn't make Christmas cookies yet.
We don't. We just got our isolates.
We did.
We just got our isolates.
Let's make some butter.
We are going to make some butter. Okay. So this is how to make the cookies. But what I want to talk about a little bit is the
serving
dosing.
Size.
Yeah. So the math. So if, say, for example, you did 48 cookies using 1 gram of isolate. So that's 1,000 milligrams, and 1 pound of butter is 2 cups. 1 cup of butter, right, is 500 milligrams. And so the math was 48 cookies with 1 cup of Bloom butter. 500 milligrams divided by 48 is 10 milligrams. So you can have 10 milligrams CBD isolate cookies, right? If you decided you wanted to do 2 grams, say you wanted to do CBD, CBG, right? You could add in 2 grams and then you would have a 20 milligram cookie. And if you wanted to do 3 grams, it would be the same. It would be the math that would be divided and it would be a 31 milligram cookie.
Which is a lot of goodness. That's like a good full dose of Trilogy, right? A third of a dropper, just about.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And then here's another example too. So another example is you can make cannabis infused banana bread, right? Very similar. You're doing the dosing, you're cooking the exact same way, but the issue comes is when you're doing the math to calculate how much is in that bread, right? So a 1 gram recipe, 12 pieces of bread, right? You would have each piece of bread would be 20 milligrams per slice. So one of the other things that we have people do that if you don't want to cook with it, you can just make the butter, right? You can just make the butter.
Make it easy.
And you can put it on your food and put it on your toast. And so we have the math of 1 gram of butter in 1 pound, 2 grams in 1 pound, 3 grams in 1 pound. And this can also navigate over to THC, but with THC, it's a little bit different because when you're looking at a gram of a type of a product from a dispensary, you have to know the percentage of THC in order to do the math. So in this particular case, when we're using isolates, 1 gram is equivalent to 1,000 milligrams. But if you're going to be doing a gram of a full extract cannabis oil from a dispensary that has THC in it, that might test at 70%, that 1 gram isn't 1,000 milligrams. It's actually 700 milligrams. So the dosing for THC is a little bit different than using the isolates. The isolates kind of keep it simple.
Much easier and it tastes better.
Yeah.
It tastes much better.
Yeah. So anyways, this is going to be in our network. Bloom butter, cookies, and bread recipe, and a nice handy dandy little PDF for you all. Anything to add?
No.
All right.
I'm ready to make some butter.
Ready to make some butter. We're wrapping up.
So yeah, wrapping up, just recapping the ecosystem at Holistic Carrying and the Green Nurse, because it really is about the ecosystem. Cannabis is not one thing, and what we deliver is not one thing. The Holistic Carrying and Green Nurse provide the structure and framework for the products and services that patients need to be successful with cannabis therapeutics. Our network provides everything that patients and providers need, and it's run by nurses and our pharmacists. And we give CBD education and lifestyle support. So in the network, you can get the free Introduction to Cannabis course. Just sign up. It's right there. There's a patient portal that you can get in and chat with peers. Go to the website, holisticcaring.com. You can download the free medical cannabis guide, which is a 7-page guide that walks you through everything. And then the free monthly clinical conversations, you're in one right now. So keep finding us and get all of these tips and tricks that we want to give you in our webinars and our monthly podcast as well. There are free emailed care plans at Bloom Hemp on the services tab. You can fill out a mini intake and we will reply to you with some beginning product choices, the rationale on why you might want that, and then some lifestyle tips to fuse in. We have patient programs at holisticcaring.com, which are targeted learning for conditions like autoimmune conditions and cancer and mental health and autism and epilepsy. We have professional training and masterminds and mentoring for nurses with continuing education, 30-unit courses that we'll show you in a second. And then, of course, just call the free nurse line. We use that for a triage as well. So if you have any questions on the professional programs, call the nurse line. If you have questions on the patient programs, call the nurse line. If you have questions on how to become a patient and one-on-one coaching, call the nurse line. Yeah. And one more thing here. So changing the future of healthcare is always my goal, right? At Holistic Caring, we've been writing programs for many, many years. And cannabis nursing is now recognized as a specialty with the American Nurses Association. And so now is the time when nurses are going to start to say, hey, I really do want to look at adding this to my practice or just becoming more well-versed at working in a hospital and being the star there. So we are having these beautiful programs. Go into the network, go to this page at holisticcaring.com. You can navigate to the Cannabis Nurse Health Coach program right from the homepage. Just scroll down a little bit, click on the box, and it'll take you to this page. And on that page, we have a scholarship application right now. We've got several applicants in that are just amazing, stellar applicants. And those watching, we have your applications, and we are going to do a live drawing on Christmas Day in the network. So come to the network, network.holisticcaring.com at noon Pacific time on Christmas Day, and we will award the first scholarship that we have available through fundraising that we did this fall for the Reunion of Hope that you might remember we did. So I am so excited about this. I just can't wait.
Yeah, it's going to be great. And definitely you want to sign up for our newsletter because we have our announcement. We have our list of what all of our Yeah.
The year in review,
Year in
2023
review.
was a just gangbusters of activity that we have done this year. It's
Yeah.
amazing what we've done.
We can't wait to
So
share it
yeah,
all
that's
with you.
coming out the 20th.
The 20th. So what makes us different at Bloom Hemp? Bloom Hemp is our sponsors. We're the owners of Bloom Hemp. What makes it different? Well, what makes it different is it's nurse-led, woman-led, nurse-owned. We have nurses and we have pharmacists on staff. It's USDA organic hemp, symptom-targeted formulas.
That
We
we
have
created
symptom-targeted formulas that we created. We're formulators.
for a reason, right?
For a
These-
reason.
yeah.
But here it is when you see products, we've taken care of 6,000 patients in the course of the past 9 years each. And so when you see products working over and over and over again, it makes sense that you create them for the public. And so that's what we've done. So symptom targeted formulas supported with a free nurse line, free care plan for all patients. The network comes with Bloom, affiliate opportunities, wholesale and retail.
Yeah, if you have a shop, call us and let us know. We want to give you a display and everything. Get it going for you.
Yeah. And then finally, subscribe to our award-winning podcast. We are really, really lucky. This just goes to the YouTube, but we're also in our newsletter that we're going to be announcing. We're part of Red Coral Universe, right? So we're getting syndicated on another platform. So be sure you tune in to the Holistic Caring Green Nurse podcast, Living Your Best Life.
Yeah, and just watch all of them. You can binge this whole holiday season on the Green Nurse podcast.
Yeah, you can. So this has been an amazing show. This is the last clinical conversation of this year.
Yeah.
Yes,
Well done, Nurse Sherry.
Thank you. And so stay tuned for more clinical conversations coming in the new year, as well as new podcasts, new guests, and some special surprises for sure. And remember, everyone, what it's all about. It's truly all about living your best life and helping others do the same. And I'm going to end with one of my most favorite videos, Green Nurse.
Happy holidays.
We're here to educate and empower patients to make choices that are best for them. We're also here to decrease stigma around what it means to feel good and be high. Hence the H for hope, I for inspiration, G for growth, and H for healing. The Green Nurse is a holistic cannabis nurse that teaches on the endocannabinoid system and the safe utilization of cannabis and other progressive tools to help people reach a better quality of life.
I was cannabis agnostic for many, many years. And you know, the more research I did, the more I discovered that cannabis is this amazing medicine.
I was told that I had a 4-stage pancreatic cancer. The doctor really told me he couldn't do anything else. He gave me her name and she called me and she came to my house. She started to give me cannabis. My oncologist was puzzled because he couldn't find the cancer anymore.
All of the learning that we get comes from the Green Nurses Group, comes from their support, comes from their guidance. I trust everything that she says.
Simply meet people where they're at. The plant doesn't, stress to grow, so we don't stress to share it. We're healing people.
Cannabis has been used as a medicine for tens upon thousands of years. Here's the big message. Cannabis needs to be federally legal. We need to have laws that are the same across all 50 states that allow access to anyone and everyone who wants to utilize this powerful medicine.